How's it going, everyone? This is my closing trade alert for SPY, SPY. In early January, I sold an iron condor with the 405, 400, 345, 340 strikes. I sold that for 90-cent credit. And then recently I bought that back to close it out for a 50-cent debit, which gives me 40 cents profit per contract, or $40. Let's take a look at the chart and see how things played out. I opened the trade here on the 6th of January, and when I opened the trade, it was on this day. The price was around 370, 371, somewhere in there. The very next day, I actually had kind of a bigger gap up, and then it slowly worked higher. And then just over the last week or so, it came back down with this somewhat large correction, and then jumped back up. So it's basically did what you want an iron condor to do. It stays right in the middle of your strikes. This was the 345 I shorted and the 400 that I shorted. And then this 405 and the 340 were purchased as protection. So an iron condor works just like a strangle. You want the price to stay within your range of your short strikes. And that's exactly what it did here. It ended up being a little bit higher. I closed this out yesterday, so the price was more like 376, give or take, where today, as you can see here in aftermarket, it's at 382. But either way, it didn't really change the price much. When you sell iron condors or strangles, you're basically banking on time decay kicking in to suck out the value of the trade. The price movement doesn't really matter on these, except if it goes high against your call or low against your put, then the price will matter, as that is putting buying or selling pressure on the strike that's being pressured, right? Well, otherwise, I don't really care what the price does in here. I just want it to stay relatively in the middle. And then with these iron condors, you just got to sit on them for a few weeks and you eventually get paid with time decay. And that's exactly what happened here. As you can see, the rundown, the duration of trade was 26 days, so just under a month. My percent of max profit was 44.4%. My return on capital was 9.8%, and my profit per contract was $40. There's not really much else to say with the iron condor here. It's pretty self-explanatory. You just want to stay within these ranges, right? And if it breaches your high call side or your low put side, then eventually your losses will be capped because you short the 400, but then you buy the 405, which means you're long, right? So that's a 5-point wide spread. I sold this for $90, I think. So my max loss, if it broke all the way through here, would be $410 because you have $5 wide spread, which is 500, and then you minus your credit, which is 90 cents, and that leaves you with $410. $4.10 or $410. Now, with all that being said, I personally don't do a lot of iron condors just because you don't quite get the spread that a strangle gets you. However, if you've been watching some of my recent videos, I'm probably not doing strangles anymore because I keep getting burned on the call side, even though I'm following typical guidelines that should be working. They're just not, at least in this market. And I got burned really bad on one trade, so at this point I'm probably not trading strangles ever again. However, I will transition to jade lizards, which is still the same on the call side. You short one strike and then you go long on the other for protection, but then a jade lizard just has a single put that you short. So what that allows you is you're essentially targeting the put side. That's really where you're going to make your money with the jade lizard. And then you do the call side simply as a way to get your put a little bit farther out of the money so you get a slightly wider spread, right? Anyways, when I do a jade lizard, I will go over that stuff in detail, but this iron condor, you know, it's pretty straightforward. You sell the high side and the low, and you just want it to stay in the middle, and that's what it did here. So, but yeah, like I was saying, I don't do too many iron condors personally, but I just want to do an example here on this channel and show you how they work. And I will say one good spot to use iron condors is on like kind of the major indexes, right? So like the SPY, this is for the S&P 500. And you can usually get a wide enough spread, and the SPY usually doesn't move super large in either direction, right? It's not super volatile, typically. So for something that kind of moves slower and is less volatile, iron condors can be great. And you just kind of go with the flow each month, right? You know, it's like I sold the iron condor here, And then if I wait a few days here, maybe tomorrow, you know, it's like I could just sell another iron condor here. So then my strikes are a little bit higher here, and then they'd be a little bit higher here, right? You just shift it each month a little bit higher or a little bit lower, and you just go from there. All right, I think that covers everything. Trade small, trade often, and I will see you in the next video.